To our amazing viewers at Cheating Tales Lab, we'd love to hear, which part of the world are you joining us from? Let us know. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1. The Warning. Arthur Archer had built his life with the same precision he used to design buildings. Every beam calculated, every support structure reinforced. 20 years as a structural engineer had taught him that foundations were everything. His marriage to Claire, his 2 children, Jake, 8, and Emma, 5, were the cornerstones of a life he'd meticulously constructed. That Tuesday afternoon, those cornerstones began to crumble. The call came at 4:47 p.m. Arthur was in his home office, reviewing blueprints for a downtown renovation, when his phone vibrated. His sister Rebecca's name flashed on the screen. "Hey, Beck, are you with Claire?" Her voice was sharp, professional. The doctor voice she used in emergencies. "Yeah, she's in the living room with Emma." "What? Get away from her. Now, go to another room. Take the kids with you." Each word was deliberate, controlled. Rebecca never panicked. In 15 years as an ER physician, she'd maintained composure through gunshot wounds and car wrecks. The tremor in her voice terrified him. "Rebecca, what the hell is going on?" "She was at the hospital today with Jake." "Arthur, I can't explain over the phone. Just, don't let her know I called. I'm coming over in 30 minutes. Please, just trust me." The line went dead. Arthur sat frozen, blueprint forgotten. Through the wall, he heard Emma's laughter and Claire's voice reading a storybook. Normal. Everything seemed so goddamn normal. Then he heard the footsteps in the hallway. "Arthur." Claire appeared in the doorway, honey blonde hair pulled back, wearing the same yoga pants and sweater she'd had on that morning. Her smile was warm, familiar. "Dinner's almost ready. Can you get Emma washed up?" He studied his wife's face. The woman he'd married 12 years ago, who'd held his hand through his father's funeral, who'd given him 2 beautiful children. Looking for cracks, fissures, anything that didn't fit. He found nothing. "Sure," he said, keeping his voice level. "Where's Jake?" "Still at your mom's. She's keeping him overnight since he had that appointment today. Remember? Jake had been sick for the past 3 months. Chronic fatigue, stomach issues, unexplained fevers. They'd been to 6 specialists. No one could figure it out. Arthur had taken time off work to drive his son to countless appointments while Claire managed their daughter. He'd thought they were a team, facing their child's mysterious illness together. What had Rebecca discovered at the hospital? "Right," Arthur said. "I'll get Emma." Claire lingered in the doorway. "You okay? You look pale." "Just a headache. Long day." He forced a smile, the muscles in his face feeling foreign. When she left, Arthur locked his office door and called his mother. "Mom, don't let Claire take Jake. I don't care what she says. I'll explain later, but he stays with you until I get there. This is serious." His mother, Helen Archer, had raised 3 boys and knew when to ask questions and when to act. "He's safe with me." "Arthur, what's happening?" "I don't know yet. But keep your doors locked." Rebecca arrived exactly 30 minutes later, her BMW screeching into the driveway. Arthur met her outside, having sent Claire and Emma to the basement playroom under the pretense of finding old toys. Rebecca's face was ashen. She clutched a manila folder like a lifeline. "Get in my car. We need to talk where she can't hear." Inside the vehicle, Rebecca pulled out lab reports, medical charts, pages covered in numbers and medical terminology Arthur didn't understand. But he understood the way his sister's hands shook as she pointed to highlighted sections. "I was covering for Dr. Morrison in pediatrics today when Claire brought Jake in for blood work. Something felt off about his symptoms, so I ran additional tests Morrison didn't order." Rebecca's finger traced a line of data. "Arthur, Jake is being poisoned. Heavy metal poisoning. Specifically, antifreeze. Small doses over an extended period." The world tilted. "That's impossible." "How?" I cross-referenced the symptoms with the timeline of his illness. "It started 3 months ago, right? Every time he gets worse, I'm willing to bet Claire was alone with him. The hospital visits, the specialist appointments. She's been documenting his decline while she causes it." "Munchausen by proxy," Arthur whispered. He'd read about it during one of his late-night research sessions, trying to understand Jake's illness. A caregiver making someone sick for attention. Worse. Rebecca pulled out another document. "I called Dennis, your friend from college. He's with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit now. I asked him to look into your finances as a favor. Arthur, Claire opened a life insurance policy on you and the kids 6 months ago. 2 million on you, 1 million on each child. You never signed anything? No. The word came out strangled. Rebecca, what are you saying? His sister's eyes filled with tears. I think she's planning to kill you. All of you. She's been making Jake sick to establish a medical history, a pattern of illness. When he dies, it'll look natural. Emma might be next. And you. She couldn't finish. Arthur's mind raced through calculations, structural analysis of his life. Where had the foundation failed? When did his wife become someone capable of murdering their children? There's more, Rebecca said. I have a friend at the hospital parking office. Claire's car has been there overnight 3 times in the past month. The security footage shows her leaving with a man. Not medical staff. They go to the airport hotel across the street. The blueprint of Arthur's life wasn't just cracking. It was collapsing. Chapter 2. The Investigation. Arthur didn't confront Claire that night. Rebecca wanted to call the police immediately, but Arthur stopped her. We need evidence that will stick. If we tip our hand now, she could run, or worse, accelerate whatever she's planning. Instead, he played the role of oblivious husband. Ate dinner across from his wife, asked about her day, kissed her goodnight, all while his mind constructed a new blueprint, one designed to trap a killer. The next morning, after Claire left for her weekly yoga class, Arthur called Dennis McCoy. They'd been roommates at Northwestern, stayed close despite Dennis's FBI career taking him to Chicago. When Arthur explained the situation, Dennis was on a plane within hours. Dennis arrived at Arthur's home office at noon, bringing equipment that looked like it belonged in a spy movie. Before we go further, I need to be clear, Dennis said, setting up a laptop. What Rebecca asked me to do was off the books. A favor, but what we're about to do. This is evidence gathering for a potential prosecution. Everything has to be legal, or it's inadmissible. Understood, Arthur said. Where do we start? The boyfriend. Rebecca gave me the parking lot footage dates. I pulled traffic cam data, ran facial recognition. Dennis turned the laptop screen. A man's face appeared, mid-30s, dark hair, expensive suit. Travis Lindsay. He's a commercial real estate developer. Married, 2 kids in the suburbs. And get this, he's been under investigation by my department for the past year. For what? Wire fraud, money laundering. Nothing we could make stick yet, but he's dirty. Runs legitimate businesses as a front while skimming money through shell companies. Dennis pulled up more files. 3 months ago, his financial situation got desperate. He's over-leveraged on properties. Banks are circling. He needs capital fast. Arthur felt the pieces clicking together like a structural diagram. Claire's $2 million payout on my death. That's my thinking. Question is, how did they meet? Arthur pulled up Claire's calendar on their shared account, something she didn't know he could access from his computer. She joined a real estate investment seminar 6 months ago. Said she wanted to learn about property management, diversify our portfolio. I encouraged her. Let me guess. Lindsay was the instructor? Arthur nodded, remembering Claire's enthusiasm about the classes, how she'd stayed late for networking sessions. He'd been proud of her initiative. He'd been a fool. Dennis's fingers flew across the keyboard. I'm accessing Lindsay's phone records, legally, because of the ongoing investigation. 3 months of calls and texts to a number not registered to anyone. He cross-referenced the data. But it pings off towers near your house, near Jake's school, near the hospital. It's a burner phone. I'd bet my badge it's Claire's. Can you get the messages? Already working on it. But Arthur, this is going to get ugly. If what Rebecca suspects is true, your wife isn't just having an affair. She's planning a triple homicide. The words hung in the air like a structural flaw waiting to cause total collapse. Arthur's phone buzzed. A text from Claire. Yoga ran long. Picking up Emma from preschool. Home by 3. Love you. He stared at those last 2 words. Had she ever meant them? Or had their entire marriage been a foundation built on lies, waiting for the right moment to demolish? We need more, Arthur said. Rebecca's evidence proves Jake is being poisoned, but we need to prove Claire's doing it. We need to connect her to Lindsay's financial desperation, and we need to figure out their endgame. Dennis nodded. I'll get a warrant for Lindsay's financial records through the fraud investigation. You need to find where Claire's keeping the poison. Antifreeze isn't something you just have lying around. After Dennis left, Arthur searched his own home like a stranger. The garage, the kitchen, the bathroom cabinets. He found it in Claire's craft room, hidden inside a container labeled wood varnish. A bottle of antifreeze, half empty. He photographed it without disturbing the placement, documenting everything. Then he found the notebook. It was tucked under loose floorboards beneath Claire's desk, the same desk where she'd written birthday cards for their kids, grocery lists, reminders to call his mother. The notebook contained dates, times, dosages. A clinical record of Jake's poisoning. At the bottom of the final page, written in Claire's careful handwriting, final dose Thursday. Funeral Monday. Insurance payout 30 to 45 days. Then E. Then A. E for Emma. A for Arthur. His hands shook as he photographed every page. His wife had reduced their children's murders to abbreviations. Chapter 3. The Conspiracy. That evening, Arthur played his role perfectly. Laughed at Emma's jokes. Helped with her homework. Kissed Claire when she brought him coffee in his office. But he'd installed the monitoring equipment Dennis provided. Cameras hidden in smoke detectors. Audio recordings in every room. Everything documented. Rebecca kept Jake at Helen's house, claiming he needed observation for his condition. Claire seemed unconcerned, even relieved. Arthur noted that too. On Wednesday, Dennis returned with a breakthrough. Got into Lindsay's encrypted messages. Arthur, you need to see this. The messages were damning. Claire and Travis had been planning for months. Lindsay had approached Claire at the real estate seminar, specifically targeting her. He'd researched Arthur's business, knew about his life insurance, his assets. The affair was premeditated, a con designed to recruit a desperate woman for murder. But the messages revealed something else. Claire wasn't desperate. She was eager. I've wanted out for years, one message read. Arthur's boring. Safe. I'm suffocating. This is our chance at real life. Real money. Real passion. Travis's response. Thursday for the boy. Make it look like his illness finally won. Then we wait 2 weeks. Take out the girl. Make it an accident. Drowning. Fall downstairs. You know your house. Then the husband. That one needs to be a suicide. Depression over losing his kids. Can you sell it? Claire's reply. I can sell anything. I've been selling him on our happy marriage for 12 years. Arthur read the messages 3 times. Each word was a demolition charge, destroying the structure of everything he believed about his life. There's more, Dennis said. Lindsay has a partner. Someone helping with the financial side, setting up accounts to launder the insurance money. I haven't identified them yet, but we're close. Do we have enough to arrest them? The DA thinks so. Rebecca's medical evidence, the notebook, the messages, it's a strong case. But Dennis hesitated. Travis Lindsay is connected. Rich family, expensive lawyers. There's a chance they both could plead down. Maybe Claire gets manslaughter instead of murder. She could be out in 15 years. Arthur's jaw clenched. Not good enough. Arthur, they were going to kill my children, Dennis. Jake first, then Emma, then me. Claire was going to watch our babies die and cash the checks. Arthur's voice was cold, controlled. I want them destroyed. Completely. No plea deals, no reduced sentences. I want their lives dismantled the same way they planned to dismantle mine. Dennis studied his friend. What are you thinking? I'm thinking like an engineer, Arthur said. They built a plan. I'm going to find its weaknesses and bring the whole thing crashing down. But I need your help, and I need you to look the other way on some things. Arthur, I'm FBI. You're my friend first. And you know the system. You know how people like Lindsay slip through cracks. I'm not asking you to break the law. I'm asking you to let me do what needs to be done before you make arrests. Dennis was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. What do you need? Time. And information on Travis Lindsay's partner. If there's a third person in this conspiracy, I want them caught too. Over the next 2 days, Arthur and Dennis worked parallel investigations. Dennis officially pursued the financial crimes angle, building the FBI's case. Arthur pursued something else, a personal mission of justice. He discovered that Travis Lindsay's real estate empire was even more fragile than Dennis had revealed. The man was underwater on 17 properties, had maxed out credit lines, and owed money to some very unpleasant people. The kind who didn't accept bankruptcy as payment. Arthur also learned that Travis had done this before. 5 years ago, a girlfriend had died in a tragic accident, a fall from a hiking trail. Travis had been with her, claimed he tried to save her. The girlfriend had a life insurance policy. Travis had been the beneficiary. The case was ruled accidental. But Arthur found the girlfriend's brother, a man named Luther McFarland, who'd never believed the official story. I knew Travis killed her, Luther said when they met at a diner outside the city. I just couldn't prove it. The bastard got away with murder once. He's doing it again. Arthur showed him the messages, the evidence. Luther's face darkened. What can I do? Help me set a trap, Arthur said. I have a plan, but I need someone Travis doesn't know is connected to me. On Thursday night, the night Claire's notebook had marked for Jake's final dose, Arthur was ready. Jake was safe with Helen and Rebecca. Emma was at Arthur's brother's house for a cousin's sleepover. Claire didn't question any of it, too focused on her timeline. Arthur watched through hidden cameras as Claire prepared her son's medicine, antifreeze mixed in juice, measured precisely according to her notebook. But Jake wasn't there to drink it. Instead, Arthur had replaced the juice with an identical container filled with harmless colored water. When Claire called Travis, panicked that Jake wasn't home for his dose, Arthur heard everything. The kid's not here. His grandmother still has him. So wait until he comes back. We have time. No. Arthur's been acting weird. What if he knows something? He doesn't know anything. You said he's clueless. What if I'm wrong? There was a pause. Then Travis's voice, cold. Then we move to plan B. Skip the boy. Do the husband first. Make it tonight. I have an alibi ready. You'll be the grieving widow, and once things settle, we'll handle the kids. Arthur smiled. They'd just confessed on tape to conspiracy to commit murder. But Arthur wasn't done. Not nearly done. Chapter 4. The Setup. Friday morning, Arthur went to work as usual. He told Claire he'd be late. A dinner meeting with a potential client. She seemed relieved, probably already texting Travis about the opportunity. But Arthur wasn't going to a meeting. He was going to war. Dennis had finally identified Lindsay's financial partner, Myron Potts, an accountant who'd been helping Travis launder money through fake construction companies. Potts was small-time, scared of real consequences. Dennis brought him in for questioning on the fraud case, and within an hour, Potts had flipped. Lindsay approached me 6 months ago, Potts told them in the interrogation room. Said he had a way to get clean money through an insurance payout. I didn't ask questions. He paid me $50,000 up front to set up the offshore accounts. Did he mention how he was getting the insurance money? Dennis asked. Potts shifted uncomfortably. He said his girlfriend was handling it. Said her husband was loaded and wouldn't be needing his money much longer. I figured divorce settlement or something. I didn't know he meant. He trailed off, looking sick. Arthur leaned forward. You didn't know he was planning murder. But you do now. Which means you're an accomplice unless you help us. I'll help. Whatever you need. Good, Arthur said. Because you're going to call Travis and tell him the offshore accounts are ready. Tell him you need him to come sign the final paperwork tonight. 10 p.m., your office. Potts nodded frantically. What then? Then you leave, and let me handle the rest. That evening, Arthur prepared carefully. He'd learned construction and demolition during his career, understood exactly how much pressure different materials could take before breaking. He applied that knowledge now to human psychology. Travis Lindsay arrived at Myron Potts' office at 10:03 p.m., looking smug and confident. Potts had left the door unlocked as instructed and was safely at a police station giving his full statement. Arthur was waiting inside. Mr. Lindsay, Arthur said from behind the desk, keeping his voice calm. Thanks for coming. Travis froze. Who the hell are you? Where's Myron? I'm Arthur Archer, your girlfriend's husband, the man you were planning to murder. He gestured to a chair. Sit down. We need to talk. Travis's hand moved toward his pocket, probably for his phone. Arthur held up a signal jammer. That won't work. We're alone. No one's coming. So sit down, or I'll make you sit down. There was something in Arthur's voice, a cold certainty, that made Travis comply. He'd built buildings designed to withstand earthquakes. Compared to that, breaking a man was simple engineering. You're in a lot of trouble, Travis said, trying to sound threatening. Whatever you think you know. I know everything. Arthur slid a folder across the desk. Your messages with my wife. Her notebook documenting how she poisoned our son. Your financial records showing you're bankrupt and desperate. Your previous girlfriend's accident that looked suspiciously profitable. I know it all. Travis's face went pale. You can't prove any of that. Actually, I can. The FBI has all the evidence. They're probably arresting Claire right now, and they'll be coming for you next. Arthur leaned back. But I wanted to talk to you first. Man to man. About what? About the fact that you're not going to prison, Arthur said. You're going somewhere much worse. Chapter 5. The pressure builds. Travis tried to stand, but Arthur was faster. He'd spent months watching his son slowly sicken, had held Jake during hospital visits, had comforted Emma when her brother was too weak to play. That rage had been compressed, refined, turned into something cold and precise. Arthur didn't hit Travis. He didn't need to. He simply showed him what was about to happen. Your real estate empire is collapsing, Arthur said conversationally. Your creditors are about to find out you're under FBI investigation. The banks will call their loans. Your investors will panic. By Monday morning, you'll be ruined. So what? I'll declare bankruptcy. That's the beauty of it. You can't. Because I bought your debts. Arthur smiled. Over the past 3 days, I've been very busy. I liquidated assets, took out loans, called in favors. I now own 60% of your outstanding debts, and I'm calling them all due immediately. You have 72 hours to pay me $4 million, or I'm filing liens on everything you own. Travis's smug expression cracked. That's impossible. You can't. I already did. My lawyer filed the paperwork an hour ago. Check your email. Travis pulled out his phone, hand shaking. The color drained from his face as he scrolled through messages from his attorney. But here's the interesting part, Arthur continued. Those debts you owed to certain less-than-legal entities? The ones you thought I didn't know about? I sold those debts to Luther McFarland. Remember him? Brother of your previous girlfriend? The one you murdered. That was an accident. Luther doesn't think so, and he's very interested in discussing it with you. Without lawyers present, Arthur checked his watch. In fact, he's waiting outside right now, along with some associates who are very upset about the money you owe their organization. Travis stood abruptly, looking for exits. Arthur remained seated, calm. You have 2 choices, Arthur said. Choice 1, walk out that door and deal with Luther and his friends. I understand they have creative collection methods. Choice 2, confess. Full confession on video, detailing everything. How you seduced my wife, planned the murders, killed your previous girlfriend. Everything. If I confess, I go to prison for life. Yes, but you'll be alive. And federal prison is considerably safer than what's waiting for you outside. Arthur pulled out a video camera. Choose quickly. Luther's patience is limited. Travis's eyes darted between Arthur and the door. Outside, he could hear voices, footsteps. Luther's voice carried clearly. Is he still in there? Good. We'll wait. The voices weren't real. Arthur had planted speakers outside. But Travis didn't know that. You're insane, Travis whispered. No, Arthur said. I'm a father whose children you try to murder. Now choose. Travis chose confession. For 40 minutes, Arthur recorded every detail. How Travis had researched potential victims, found Claire through social media, orchestrated the real estate seminar to meet her. How he'd manipulated her discontent, seduced her, convinced her that murder was their only path to happiness. How they'd planned each death meticulously. And then Travis revealed something Arthur hadn't known. It was Claire's idea to do Jake first. She said it would be easier to kill him than the little one. Emma was still young, still attached. But Jake was old enough to be difficult. She wanted him gone first. Arthur's hands tightened on the table, but his voice remained steady. Keep talking. Travis confessed to his previous girlfriend's murder too. Described pushing her off that hiking trail, watching her fall, then calling 911 and playing the devastated boyfriend. He'd practiced crying in mirrors. When it was over, Arthur saved the video file and stood. The FBI will be here in 5 minutes. You're going to tell them everything again. If you try to recant, this video goes public, along with evidence of your other crimes that I've kept in reserve. What other evidence? Arthur smiled. I'm an engineer, Travis. I always build in redundancies. Dennis arrived with a full team. They arrested Travis on the spot, read him his rights, took him away. Dennis lingered behind. That was risky, Dennis said. What if he'd fought you? He was never going to fight. Men like Travis are predators who pick weak targets. The moment I showed strength, he folded. Arthur looked at his friend. Did you arrest Claire? An hour ago. She's claiming innocence, says she never hurt Jake, doesn't know what we're talking about. Her lawyer's already there. Show her Travis's confession. Let her know he gave up everything, including how it was her idea to kill Jake first. Arthur's voice was ice. Then offer her a deal. Full confession in exchange for life with possibility of parole in 40 years. She gets to live. She doesn't get freedom. Arthur, I want her to spend the rest of her life in a cage, Dennis. Thinking about what she did. knowing her children are alive and growing up without her. That's justice. Chapter 6. The Reckoning. Claire did exactly what Arthur predicted. When confronted with Travis's betrayal, with the evidence of her own notebook, with the poison found in her craft room, she broke. Not from remorse, from rage that Travis had confessed first. Her statement was clinical, detached. Yes, she'd poisoned Jake. Yes, she'd planned to kill Emma and Arthur. Yes, she'd forged insurance documents. But she insisted it was Travis's idea, that he'd manipulated her, that she was a victim too. The jury didn't buy it. Arthur attended every day of both trials, sitting in the front row where Claire and Travis could see him. He wanted them to know he was there, alive, victorious. His children beside him. Jake recovered fully once the poisoning stopped, Emma blissfully unaware of how close she'd come to death. Rebecca testified about the poisoning. Dennis testified about the conspiracy. Luther McFarland testified about Travis's previous murder. Myron Potts testified about the money laundering. The defense tried to paint Arthur as a controlling husband who'd driven Claire to desperation. They brought up his long work hours, his tendency to make financial decisions alone, his obsessive personality. Arthur's lawyer destroyed that narrative in one cross-examination. "Mr. Archer," the defense attorney asked, "isn't it true you made all major financial decisions without consulting your wife?" "No," Arthur replied calmly. "We made decisions together. I encouraged Claire to take those real estate classes because she wanted more financial independence. I gave her access to all our accounts. I trusted her completely. Yet you claim she was planning to murder your children for money you supposedly shared equally?" "She wasn't planning to murder them for money I shared with her," Arthur said. "She was planning to murder them for insurance money she'd secretly obtained without my knowledge or consent. If she'd wanted our marital assets, divorce would have been simpler. She wanted me and my children dead because she preferred that outcome to simply leaving. Ask her why." The defense had no response. Travis's trial was shorter. His confession was airtight, and his previous girlfriend's death was reopened as a murder investigation. Luther testified that he'd suspected for years but couldn't prove it. Now he could. Claire was sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms without parole. The judge called her crimes unusually cruel and noted her complete lack of remorse. She screamed obscenities as they led her away, finally dropping the mask of suburban mother. Travis got life without parole plus 30 years for the previous murder. In his final statement, he tried to claim Arthur had coerced his confession. Arthur's lawyer played the video. Travis had detailed everything voluntarily, lucidly, without any threats or coercion visible on camera. "I gave him a choice," Arthur testified. "Confess or leave." He chose confession. That's called free will. The judge agreed. Chapter 7. The Aftermath. 6 months after the trials, Arthur sat in his backyard watching Jake and Emma play. Jake was back to normal, running, laughing, no longer pale and sickly. Emma had started kindergarten. She'd asked about mommy once, early on. Arthur had told her the truth in age-appropriate terms. Mommy had done something very wrong and had to go away for a long time. Emma had nodded seriously, then asked if they could get a dog. They got a dog. Rebecca visited every Sunday. She blamed herself for not seeing the signs earlier, for not testing Jake sooner. Arthur had to remind her repeatedly that she'd saved their lives. "You did what Claire counted on no one doing," Arthur told her. "You investigated. You asked questions. You trusted your instincts. I should have seen it months ago. You saw it when it mattered. That's enough." Dennis came by too, bringing updates. Myron Potts had gotten immunity for his testimony. Luther McFarland had attended Travis's sentencing, finally getting justice for his sister. The FBI's investigation had uncovered 2 other women Travis had scammed, though neither situation had turned deadly. "You saved future victims," Dennis said. "Travis would have done this again. He'd perfected the con." Arthur didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a man who'd almost lost everything because he'd trusted the wrong person. But he was rebuilding. That's what engineers did: assessed damage, reinforced weak points, constructed something stronger from the ruins. Chapter 8. The Trap's Final Spring. Arthur thought it was over. The trials had concluded, Claire and Travis were in prison, his children were safe. He could finally begin healing, moving forward. Then Myron Potts called. "Mr. Archer? I need to tell you something. Something I didn't mention before." They met at a coffee shop. Potts looked nervous, kept glancing at the door. "What is it?" Arthur asked. There's money missing. From the offshore accounts I set up for Travis. $500,000. It was transferred out 2 days before his arrest. Arthur felt the old tension return. To where? That's the thing. I can't trace it. Professional job, routing through multiple countries. But I know Travis didn't do it. He was already in custody. And Claire couldn't have because she didn't have access to those accounts. Someone else knew about the money, Arthur said slowly. There was a fourth person, Potts admitted. Travis mentioned it once, said he had insurance in case anything went wrong. Someone who knew everything, who could move money if needed. I thought he was paranoid. But now, Arthur called Dennis immediately. They traced the money transfer's origin, a coffee shop in downtown Chicago, using an open Wi-Fi network. Untraceable. Professional. Whoever this is, they're good, Dennis said. They waited until Travis was arrested, knew we'd be focused on him and Claire. Slipped out with $500,000 in insurance money that legally doesn't exist. Can we catch them? Not with what we have. No name, no face, no connection we can prove. Arthur thought about it like an engineering problem. If there was a fourth conspirator, they'd have been involved from the beginning. They'd have known Travis before the plan started. They'd have expertise in finance, in hiding money. Potts, Arthur said. Who introduced you to Travis? What? Who made the connection? How did Travis know to approach you for money laundering? Potts thought about it. It was at a real estate conference. I was there representing a client. Someone pointed me out to Travis, said I was good with creative accounting. Who? I don't remember. It was 2 years ago. But Arthur remembered. He went home and pulled up the real estate seminar where Travis had met Claire, the one where this whole nightmare had started. He studied the attendee list, the instructor roster, the administrative staff. And there it was, Jonathan Thompson, conference coordinator, listed as administrative staff at multiple seminars Travis had attended, including the one where he'd met Claire. Arthur dug deeper. Jonathan Thompson had a background in finance, had worked for 3 different insurance companies before moving into real estate conference management. Every company he'd worked for had experienced unusual insurance payouts shortly after employees died. Arthur called Dennis. I found him. Chapter 9, The Final Foundation. Jonathan Thompson was smarter than Travis or Claire. He'd built his scam carefully over years, identified desperate people, particularly those with financial expertise or access to vulnerable targets. Point them toward potential victims. Take a cut of the insurance payouts while maintaining plausible deniability. If anyone got caught, he was just an administrator who'd happened to work at various companies. No direct connection. But Arthur had him now. He had the pattern, the timeline, the money trail. Dennis got a warrant based on the evidence, and they arrested Thompson at his apartment. Thompson tried to play innocent. I'm just an event coordinator. I don't know anything about. You were at every location where Travis found a victim, Dennis said. You were working for the insurance company when his previous girlfriend died. You coordinated the real estate seminar where he met Claire. And you transferred $500,000 from offshore accounts 2 days before Travis's arrest. Prove it. That's when Arthur played his final card. He'd anticipated this, had prepared for it. Because Arthur always built in redundancies. He'd convinced Myron Potts to reach out to Thompson after discovering the missing money, claiming he wanted his cut. Thompson, thinking Potts was still an ally, had agreed to meet. That meeting had been recorded. I earned that money, Thompson had said on tape. I set up Travis with 3 different targets. Only one worked out, but that's the business. You don't always win. 3 targets. Potts had asked. Travis's ex-girlfriend, obviously. That was our first successful run. Then there was a businessman in Milwaukee, but the wife backed out. Didn't have the stomach for it. And then your architect's wife. Claire was perfect. Angry, resentful, easy to manipulate. Travis did good work on her. The recording continued with Thompson detailing years of cons, insurance fraud, and his role orchestrating it all. He'd gotten cocky, proud of his intelligence. Dennis played the recording for Thompson in interrogation. The man's face went white. I was just bragging. I didn't mean. You confessed to conspiracy to commit multiple murders, insurance fraud, money laundering, and accessory to murder, Dennis said. Your bragging just got you life in prison. Thompson tried to cut a deal, offering to testify against other potential conspirators in exchange for reduced charges. But Arthur had already thought of that too. He'd contacted families of other suspicious deaths connected to Thompson's previous employers. 3 families sued, providing testimonies and evidence. The prosecution had more than enough. Jonathan Thompson was sentenced to 40 years, with eligibility for parole in 30. It wasn't life, but it was close enough. After the final verdict, Arthur stood outside the courthouse with his children. Rebecca and Dennis flanked him. His mother held Emma's hand, and Jake leaned against Arthur's side. "Is it really over?" Jake asked. He'd been in therapy, processing what had happened. He knew his mother had hurt him, though they'd spared him the full details. "It's over," Arthur said. "You're safe. Emma's safe. I'm safe. The bad people are gone. All of them." Arthur looked at the courthouse, thinking about Claire, Travis, and Thompson, all locked away for the rest of their lives or close to it. He thought about the elaborate trap he'd built, the way he'd used their own conspiracy against them, how he'd engineered their complete destruction. All of them, he confirmed. That night, Arthur tucked both kids into bed and returned to his office. He'd started taking on clients again, designing buildings, doing the work he loved. His life wasn't what he'd planned 12 years ago, but it was real, built on truth instead of lies. A stronger foundation. He pulled up the architectural plans for a new children's hospital Rebecca was helping to establish. She'd asked him to design it. A building that would save kids like Jake, identify abuse earlier, stop monsters like Claire before they could destroy families. Arthur studied the blueprints, making calculations, reinforcing structures, ensuring every support beam could handle the weight. This was what he understood, building things that lasted, that protected, that stood strong against any storm. His family was safe. His children were healing. Justice had been served. And Arthur Archer, the architect who'd built his life on trust and love, had rebuilt it on something stronger. The certainty that he would protect what mattered, no matter the cost. Outside his window, the sun rose on a new day. Jake's laughter echoed from the kitchen where he helped Helen make breakfast. Emma sang to herself in her room. Normal sounds. Safe sounds. Arthur returned to his blueprints, designing a future that Claire had tried to demolish. But like any good engineer, he knew that when something was properly built, it could withstand anything, even betrayal. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.